In a big move, the Election Commission has made public the data on electoral bonds. Not just this, in fact, the data was released a day before the deadline set by the Supreme Court. The Election Commission said that the data was published as it was received from the SBI. The information was given in two parts: details of donors who purchased the now scrapped electoral bonds and political parties which redeemed them. Now, as per the data uploaded by the Election Commission on its website, BJP, TMC and the Congress are among the top three political parties that benefited the most from the electoral bonds. Now, BJP received funding of over rupees 6,000 crores via the electoral bonds, while the TMC got rupees 1,610 crores. The Congress received 1,422 crores through these bonds. Now, further, according to the Election Commission data, the biggest donor is Future Gaming and Hotel Services PR, who made a donation of over 1,300 crores. Other prominent groups include Vedanta Limited and Haldia Energy Limited. However, it's important to note that these donations cannot be matched with the political parties that have received them, as the bond numbers which act as the matching code have not been released. And the case came up in the top court. The Supreme Court has pulled up SBI for not sharing the unique alphanumeric code of electoral bonds. The Supreme Court has ordered SBI to hand over all details to ECI by tomorrow. The top court questioned why all details were not divulged, and the Supreme Court has asked the SBI to explain the lapse by March 18th.
So they said that they don't have copies of that, and therefore unless the court returns them what they had given to the court, they can't reveal that. And we will give you back the originals as well as the digitized data, which will be given to you by tomorrow, and by day after you should upload that. And they said that this information did not include the alphanumeric number of the bonds. So therefore, they have not given full information about the people who purchased the bonds as well as the parties who redeemed the bonds, because that should have normally included the number. So the court said that this, at least the numbers in each, the donor as well as for the recipient, should have been revealed, and therefore they've issued notice, because today the Solicitor General said Election Commission, the State Bank is not here, State Bank is not a party, please issue notice to the Election Commission, to the State Bank. So the court has issued notice to the State Bank and listed this matter on Monday to hear this issue.
Let me introduce our guests this afternoon who join us to, of course, better understand their perspective of this. Advocate Arshpreet Kadiyal, spokesperson of the Congress, Swapnil Kothari, senior lawyer, and Asif Bamla, political analyst. Good afternoon to all of you. Thank you very much for taking the time out. I'm going to come back to you just in a couple of minutes. First, let's listen into this report filed by my colleague Harish.
Yes, that's right. A very significant question posed by the Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Chandrachud bench to the State Bank of India as to why all the details listed by the Supreme Court has not been given to the Election Commission of India for uploading. The Supreme Court asked why the alphanumeric number, that is the unique number for the electoral bond of the donor and also of the recipient, has not been given. Remember, if the Supreme Court eventually forces the SBI to give all these numbers, it will ensure that who gave which party how much, that will be divulged. So this is in this respect that this question by the Supreme Court is very significant. After the Solicitor General Tushar Mehta said that SBI is not a party before the Supreme Court, so a notice has to be issued. So before issuing such a direction for giving the unique electoral bond number, the Supreme Court has today issued notice to the SBI seeking its answer as to why this number cannot be made public.
All right, let me go, of course, back to my guests who stay with us this afternoon. But let me begin with you, Mr. Bamla. You know, the charges that are being made by the opposition, politically speaking, of course, we do know this would have created a controversy, but they're mincing no words.
Well, I mean, the Supreme Court has, has summoned, and the SBI has submitted the details to the Election Commission of India. And I know that the opposition is shouting, is going gung-ho, that there is a quid pro quo involved and all of that. Fine. There is no party which is safe from this, okay? It's an official arrangement, and every party, right from BJP to Congress to BJD to TMC to BRS, everybody has taken a legitimate amount of bonds. It's just that there is certain parties, I mean, of course, like my party, Bharatiya Janata Party, people have more faith in. So the business community, if they have favored it more, if they've supported it more, if they have endorsed it more, that in itself is is a proof in the pudding that okay, it believes and it trusts in this as a party which it should bank on. Okay, so now that is one aspect of it. But the second part of the whole story is that where are this same opposition who have been going on crying, who have had distrust in the Supreme Court that there has been no transparency. Supreme Court judges पर उन्होंने लालचने लगाई है, कहीं प्रश्न किए कि भाई ये Supreme Court का judgment wrong है. Supreme Court is working under the analysis of the government, it's biased with the government, it's working on the instruction of Modi ji और Amit Shah ji. आज ये लोग कहाँ गए? आज इनका विश्वास दोबारा उस पे सुप्रीम कोर्ट पे उनका भरोसा जो है निर्भर हो गया. So these are always 2, 3 चट भी मेरा हो पट भी मेरा हो. इनका the job of the opposition is just to show our prime minister in poor light because they know that Viksit Bharat or future of the nation is there and people have trust and belief in the honesty and sovereignty of the honorable prime minister. So either way they've been trying here, there, or the other to this. Where they were going a gung-ho. Adani, Ambani have given lots of money through the electoral bonds. It has given a big slap on their face that there is not a single amount that is there on record by the Adanis and Ambanis. This is what they've been crying. The opposition leaders, right from Rahul Gandhi to everybody, has been shouting at the floor of the House. They should apologize today to the country that we have misguided the country. We have taken the country to the other narrative and the wrong narrative about such big corporate business houses. मुझे तो लग रहा है ये बड़े corporate business houses ने अपने मानहानि का दावा करना चाहिए विपक्षी नेताओं पर और पार्टियों पे जो खुद जो छोटी-छोटी पार्टियां उन्होंने तो अपने राज्य में अडानी और अंबानी और सबको उन्होंने अपने राज्यों में लाके बसाया और बनाया है और उनको यूटिलाइज किया है. लेकिन जब ब्लेम करने की बात आती है तो मोदी जी का साथी अडानी मोदी जी के साथ उनको जोड़ा जाता है. आज कहाँ है? Where is the proof? So these are wrong things and the wrong things of the Congress.
All right, Mr. Bamla, you've made your opening remarks essentially saying that every party has taken money, but you believe that business community, in fact, have reposed their faith in the current government, which is why we're seeing these numbers. But let me go to Advocate Ashpreet Kadiyar. Kadiyar, how do you really look at this with the, of course, with what Mr. Bamla was also saying? Is that how the Congress party looks at it?
Thank you. See, first and foremost, the party's demand continues, which is that the unique bond ID numbers to the recipients, they had to be published. They have not been yet, which enable us to precisely match the donors to recipients. First, there was a delay and they said we need 116 days. On the other hand, the Bharatiya Janata Party says, we're living in a digitalized world. We have turned India into a digital country. So why were you not able to instantly divulge the details? Why did you need 116 days? Why did you want to do it on the June 30th after the Lok Sabha tenure ends on June 16th? Second is that such tactics have been revealed. They are eyebrow raising. Mr. Sibal in the Honorable Supreme Court has also demanded that a special investigation team be constituted in order to look into quid pro quo. And there are certain examples that we definitely should look at and the people of India should look at. First is that Mega Engineering and Infrastructure in totality donated 800 crores through electoral bonds. In April 2023, they donated 140 crore. And 1 month later, they got a project which is worth 14,400 crores. Second example is that of Vedanta. they got Radhikapur West Private Coal Mine on the 3rd of March 2021. And 1 month later, April 2021, they donated 25 crore in electoral bonds. Then let's talk of General Steel and Power. They gave 25 crore as electoral bonds. And on the 7th of October, this happens. 3 days later, they won Gair Palma IV/6 coal mine on the 10th of October. 7th October, the donation comes. 3 days later, they get this. Next is the modus that everybody is wondering about. There are top 14 companies, the top 14 companies, entities that are there in the donor list. 14 of them have been raided by IT, ED, or the CBI. Now, what was happening was, as per the pattern, there were raids that were being conducted, and after that, the very companies that were being raided were also making donations. A very good example of that is the Shelby Sai Electricals. In December 2023, the IT department raided them. In December, it was raided. In January, 1 month after, they donate 40 crore through electoral bonds. On April 2, 2022, Enforcement Directorate raids Future Gaming and Hotels. 5 days later, on the 7th of April, 100 crores were donated through them, by them through the electoral bonds. In totality, they have donated 1,200 crores, by the way. Then the IT department also raided Future on October 2023. October 2023,
All right,
they
Mr.
get
Karia, I have
raided,
to interject you
and
there,
the
but
very same month,
all
they
right, but
make
you're
another donation of 65
questioning the chronology
crores
and
to
how this
electoral.
is spanned out as well. I'm going to come back to you in a couple of minutes on that point, but let's also get in a word in from Mr. Kothari. Mr. Kothari, how do you really look at this? Because also in the past couple of days, when we're looking at the stinging observations made by the Supreme Court, we also sought your perspective over the same, and you said that was the need of the hour as to how the top court was looking at it. But now that we see these numbers that have also come out, share with us your perspective, essentially, considering the fact this is coming right ahead of the election dates that are also going to be announced tomorrow.
Well, Nivedana, the information is very important, and it's there in the public domain, and that's all that matters. Who's paying what to which party is very secondary to me as a voter. Primary, the fact is that it's out, and the people have, and the Supreme Court has ensured that the information is out. I can make a decision on the basis that, well, a particular party has been paid X amount of money, and maybe there is a quid pro quo involved. Some policies will be tweaked in the future at the instance of that particular donor. So be it. That's what happens in a democracy. And that is something which I think we all have to live with it. Most importantly, the unique identification number, which the court is asking, wants to ensure that there is enough information, there is a match. Why that has not been given is something which the court finds a little fishy. And the court wants to make sure that maybe by Monday, these things will be out because the matter has been listed for Monday. And Mr. Salve will have to be prepared for those answers on behalf of his client, the State Bank of India. Nivedana, more importantly, I believe that, as I told you last time, apart from this particular decision of the electoral bonds, the Chandigarh mayoral election process results, and the bribe for vote or speech in the House being now suspect and subject to prosecution are important from the democratic perspective. That's how you run a democratic polity. That's how you ensure that free and fair elections take place. And that's how you ensure that the democracy continues post the elections in the House, whether it's Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha, because that judgment even talked about Rajya Sabha not being immune from those prosecution proceedings. So this particular information which you're flashing on your screen is all very important to me. Oh, well, Vedanta gave 400 crores. Oh, well, that particular thing gave 1,200 crores. So these are things which happen day in, day out, both in the United States and the United Kingdom. Now that the information is out, that's something which I'm very happy about. And we'll take it on from there. Let's see how the whole electoral process works out, stems out. What was important that this information should come out, it was not coming out. The judgment is out. And most importantly, when we see on Monday, whether those codes match, that is important. The code and the amount and the parties involved, the donor and the donee. Once that is out and that's transparent, then SBI's job is done. If there is something hanky-panky there, I'm sure the Supreme Court knows what it needs to do.
Mr. Kothari, as you
May I
put that into
add, but
perspective, one of the points that was being made by Mr. Kadyal a little earlier. All right, Mr. Kadyal, go ahead.
I just wanted to point out one thing to my fellow panelists, saying that it's been happening in the US, it's been happening in the UK, so what? I mean, this logic I just cannot buy, I cannot understand, and neither would the country buy. We happen to be living in the world's largest democracy. And saying that if quid pro quo is happening in some particular countries, then it's just perfectly fine. I don't buy it. I'll give an example to rebut that as well. Now there are murders taking place in the United States, so murders in India would be justified. There are crimes that are being committed there in the US, so the crimes committed here in India would be justified. Oh, see, it's happening there as well, so it's fine here. I mean, this logic cannot be given. I'm sorry. And second of all, anyone and whosoever supports the quid pro quo should then not worry about the special investigating team to be constituted. If there's nothing done, if there's nothing wrong, then say the Bharatiya Janata Party should come forward and say, please constitute a special investigating team. We have nothing to hide. And not just that, the Honorable Supreme Court had to declare these very electoral bonds unconstitutional. It's not just us that were from the very first day criticizing the scheme. It was the Reserve Bank of India as well. It was the Election Commission of India as well. It was called a retrograde step. It was said that because of this money laundering is happening. It was said that due to this foreign funding is being done to political parties. And that's been said by the biggest of institutions we have in India, and the people who have been attached with these institutions as well. And despite that, it was continuing for a very, very long time. And the examples that I've quoted, they are just a handful of examples. It would take more than 3-4 hours for me to enlist all the examples. And if anyone's very
Right, Mr. Kadyal, but on that note, I have to interject you there, and I'm afraid that's all that we have the time for on this afternoon. But I want to thank all three of you for joining us this afternoon and sharing with us your perspective. Of course, it will only, we look at it, the implementation of the same when the mandate does come. But for the moment, let's leave it at that. We're shifting our focus to big